Now I'd like to start this video by saying something just in case some of you guys haven't gotten this yet. I am a pretty big Nintendo fan, so one of the most exciting things that could happen in gaming news is them announcing a sequel to one of their franchises. Because when they do announce one of these sequels, you just can't help but get pretty hyped. So E3 2013 came and went, and even though there weren't that many surprises, we're getting some pretty good looking sequels. Yoshi's Island, A Link to the Past, a new Donkey Kong Country, just to name a few. And, as it just so happens, Nintendo just announced a sequel to Chibi Robo last night for 3DS. And to be totally honest, one of the reasons why this video has taken so long to come out in the first place is that I've been a little bit too invested in a sequel to Animal Crossing. So I got to thinking, what else could they possibly bring back from their past? Now, I've been a fan of Nintendo since the original NES, so there is a whole lot to work with, but I managed to make a list of my top 5 that I would like to see the most. And no, F-Zero and Star Fox are not going to be on the list. There's already a bunch of people clamoring for it. I really don't want to put an obvious entry on this list. So who knows, maybe some of these will surprise you. But no more talking, let's start off with number 5. Whenever Mario stars in an RPG, a fantastic adventure comes out of it. Well, for the most part. But the way I see things now, both Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi have a home on the 3DS. And what, do you think they're going to leave the Wii U without a Mario RPG? I say they finally go back and give us a brand spanking new adventure similar to Super Mario RPG. Now, while that sounds cool automatically, the more I think about it, both Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi really added a lot to the formula that the SNES Classic started. So, what I would like to see is an adventure that's bigger and bolder than any Mario RPG before it. I want to see familiar faces like Mallow and Geno team up with Bowser and Peach again, and maybe some more traditional RPG elements, like stronger item collection and management, side quests, and puzzles. A grander story wouldn't be that bad either. For the record, I am totally fine with Peach being kidnapped every 20 minutes or so, but a new enemy with a bigger threat to the actual kingdom would certainly be nice. And while it's not necessarily a bad thing, the latest Mario & Luigi and Paper Mario games seem to have a heavy focus on a central gimmick, so it would just be kinda cool in general to have a bit more of a core adventure. But if there's one thing that's certain, the Axum Rangers need to come back. Yo, Reg! What? My makeup's running! Then change brands! Oh man, I love it. Now I know Square Enix owns a lot of the characters from the original, but I'm sure that if Nintendo wanted to do this, they could easily make it happen. Keep the other two series on the 3DS at this point, and pump out the biggest console Mario RPG ever. Win-win. Now me and Pokemon go way back. Well, clearly, if you were a kid in the 90s, you didn't really have much of a choice. At this point, I'm really pumped for Gen 6, but throughout all of these new generations, one of my favorite games in the entire series has been a spin-off, and you all know exactly where I'm going with this. It's about time we got a sequel to Pokemon Channel. Let me leave my room, Pikachu. Oh, okay, I just want to go outside, Pikachu, please. Come on, Pikachu, you're not even my Pokemon! Oh, what's that? A Delabird's here with the delivery? Oh man, but Smoochum's giving me good workout tips. 5 stars! Okay, fine, I'll say the game we're all actually thinking of. With hundreds of new Pokemon added to the world, we need a new Pokemon Snap. What made the original so cool was that you got to see all these Pokemon in their natural habitat for the first time. And even now, that's still pretty awesome. Why not take advantage of the bigger disc size of the Wii U and let us snap to like, I don't know, 400 Pokemon? It's not like they need to do all of them. Didn't stop them the first time. And like what pretty much everyone has said to this point, the gamepad would be perfect for this type of game. Give us a bunch more courses, more interactions with different characters and trainers, and maybe add some stuff like Pokemon Stadium-esque minigames. And the idea of posting your pictures to Miiverse just instantly sounds cool. And if you're listening, Nintendo, you need to have Professor Oak come back and say, "Wonderful!" every 10 seconds. That is a given. And hey, maybe they could do another promotion again. You can bring your Wii U to your local Blockbuster so you can print out the pictures you took. Oh, right. Aw yeah, Smoochum. Work it. Work it. Feel the burn. Feel the burn! Now this one is probably going to be the most unexpected one on this list. So Game & Wario recently came out, and while I've been a fan of WarioWare since the beginning, I just can't bring myself to care about this new one. It really doesn't look all that great, and the average to below average reviews don't really help it. But now Nintendo is getting a stronger grasp of online and interaction between random people a la Miiverse, so a sequel to WarioWare D.I.Y. would be amazing. The original on DS was a great game that gave you a pretty impressive tool list of stuff to create any point-and-tap game you can think of, but there is a whole lot more that could be done. D.I.Y. lacked minigame variation, like you couldn't click and drag, spin around, slash, you really were just limited to clicking the right thing at the right time. You were also restricted to only 2 different time limits for the games you create. The restrictions were okay, being that it was a pretty ambitious DS game, but you all know if people were given the proper toolset, they will create amazing things, so the potential of this type of game hasn't even been close to tapped out yet. And with Nintendo supposedly adding Miiverse to the 3DS some point this year, this would be a perfect game to showcase it. Throw your minigames into an online database that you can just tag with multiple words so people can simply search for them. You could save QR codes based on your sprites and musical work so people can just scan them into their game. And then you can brag about how good your creation is on Miiverse. This would be just another must-have title to add to the ever-growing list of excellent 3DS games. And let's be real here, where can the Wario series go from here? You can only shove your fingers so many times up someone's nose before you start to go a little bit crazy. Metroid is one of my favorite series ever. Most of the games in the series are no less than fantastic. Note that I said most, not all. Now, one of my favorite games of all time is the first Metroid Prime. And as it just so happens, Super Metroid is also one of the greatest games ever, with Fusion and Zero Mission not too far behind. So I am salivating at the thought of finally seeing a brand new 2D Metroid and throw it on the 3DS. The system is already home to Donkey Kong Country, 2D Mario, and soon Yoshi's Island and Link to the Past. It's turning into a Super Nintendo, it only seems inevitable to me. You could have the first 2.5D Metroid game on the top screen, and an always visible map on the bottom screen, which would also be a series first. And heck, you can just call it Metroid Dread and put that whole ordeal to rest. Honestly, what I miss the most with Metroid is having a nice, speedy adventure, because the Prime games are definitely a lot slower. And also for the record, story aside, I thought Other M was awesome, partially because it was pretty speedy. Just dial down the combat a bit, and make the game as open as Super, and you will have my money before the debut trailer even finishes. And speaking of which, a lot of people still need their palates cleansed after Other M, so what better way to do so than by pulling another Link to the Past and make a sequel to a Super Nintendo classic. Just make sure you bring back the feeling of being a badass when you fight Ridley this time, and we have a recipe for success. We may even get an answer to the age-old question of why can't Metroid crawl? Ah, why indeed. Wii music. Yeah, right. It is about time we see another classic Nintendo franchise return in a big way. 3D Classics Urban Champion. Yes. Classic. Now, as we saw a while ago, Kid Icarus made that epic return, which was made even sweeter thanks to Pit's inclusion in Smash Bros. So just for the satisfaction of seeing another NES classic rise from the ashes, I wouldn't be able to contain my inner fanboy at the announcement of a brand new Star Tropics. Now, this game right here is one of my favorite retro games of all time, and the sequel isn't all that bad either. But now, good old Mike Jones is practically in the same exact position that Pit was in before Brawl. You know, people say Earthbound is underappreciated. It ain't got nothing on Star Tropics. Yeah, believe it or not, this is actually a series created by Nintendo. I want to see a revival of Star Tropics. I want to see another big tropical adventure that goes through multiple large islands, just filled with interesting characters and side stories, these action-filled dungeons with your yo-yo by your side, and then of course there's cross-dressing, which, Now all of this does, well for the most part, sound a lot like a Zelda game, which is true. Doesn't mean they can't both coexist. The dungeons could be more combat-focused as opposed to Zelda's puzzle-focused, and it could just be a lot less serious of an adventure considering your shipmate in the first game was just a Rob, and you could easily break the fourth wall a bunch. The first game came with a physical letter that revealed a solution to a puzzle when you ran water on it, and in the second game, you were traveling through time to rescue Tetris pieces. So who knows all the crazy stuff they could possibly think of. And then thinking of a high-quality remix of the dungeon theme just is... Quite frankly, I could care less if it's on 3DS or on Wii U. I just think that Star Tropics is the next series that needs to be brought back. Good old banana-loving Mike Jones deserves the Kid Icarus treatment. And that does it for my top 5 Nintendo sequels that I really want to see. Now obviously, Nintendo has a ton of different series under their belt, so what games would you like to see have a sequel? Sound off in the comments. Ice Climbers, Picross 3D, Starfy, Mole Mania, the possibilities are all over the place. But I will say that if we see any of these 5 games in the future, I can rightfully say that I called it. But with all of that said, hope you guys enjoyed the list, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch y'all next time.